that change is instant. Woo! Welcome to Sports and Touring, and today is the second part of our two-part series on the Purest R8. We've got all three of the cars behind us, and we're going to be focusing today on the drivetrain, so the rear-wheel drive compared to the Quattro system.
Now, fortunately for us, we're friends with James of JM on Cars, and he wanted a R8 GT for a video, so we got to lend him our R8. While he's off reviewing our R8, we're going to get to drive the other cars.
So as said, in today's video we're going to be mainly focusing on the GT and on the rear-wheel drive, as these two cars share a similar Quattro system, so there's not really much point comparing them. If you want to see more on this car, check the link in the description to watch the previous video that we've done comparing all of these three cars and their gearboxes.
First up, we're going to jump into the rear-wheel drive 2020 model, but then we're going to jump back into the GT afterwards and see which one do we prefer, rear-wheel drive or the Quattro system.
Right, so we're in the rear-wheel drive, and oh, you can feel it. You can feel it. It's definitely rear-wheel drive. Well, I have to say, you know, we've got all of the ESP and all that stuff switched on for obvious reasons, and but nonetheless you can still feel that it's a rear-wheel drive. You can still feel it pushing you. You kind of respect it a little bit more. I'm finding myself maybe not choosing the quite as low a gear as I could. On the rear-wheel drive are so cool. Just love that you get that from factory, you don't have to map it in. Yeah. That will sound absolutely wicked once you put an aftermarket exhaust on this thing. I think the difficulty for me in making this comparison is the fact that this car is a much more, it's kinder than the GT. You won't really be able to tell unless you are really pushing this car on a track. However, it's a tricky one, because we were watching actually a Chris Harris video of the old R8 V10 Plus when he reviewed that, the Gen 1 facelift, and he was saying even that Quattro system back then, because it's so rear biased, it basically feels like a rear wheel drive car. So I feel like you'd really be having to push both of those cars on the limit, the Quattro versus the rear-wheel drive back to back, to really tell the difference. Yeah, I think so. I think in terms of on the road, for the most part, most people won't tell the difference. Maybe until it's actually too late. Yeah, I think with a lot of people's driving skills, that is definitely the case. So the fact that the rear-wheel drive version specifically actually has less power than the Quattro version of the same car, I feel like, obviously we haven't driven the new version yet, but when you drive them both back to back, I reckon you'd be able to tell that a lot more, because this car actually has less power than even the GT. Yeah. And even from the passenger seat, when you put your foot down, this car probably is going faster because it's got the faster shifts. And it's a bit lighter. However, it doesn't feel as fast. No. Yeah, like when you put your foot down in the GT, it really just digs in and goes. Yeah. Because of the power going towards those front wheels. I'll be be honest with you, I think the average person will not be able to tell the difference on the road, because the ESP is very, very good. And the grip on the front is decent. Is it a more engaging drive? I honestly couldn't tell you. I would have to drive the Quattro equivalent of this car, but unless we switch off the ESP, which with my first time in a press car, I am not going to be doing.
I'll do it if you want.
Yeah, Mr. Not Insured. I'm not going to be doing that the first time in a press car.
Traction kicking there.
Yeah, traction is kicking in. And when the traction does kick in, you do very much feel that that is happening at the rear.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Even I could feel it from the passenger seat. You just feel the rear like trying to hold itself back.
Yeah, and I think really to appreciate this car, you're right, you really need to be in a position where you've got enough space to switch off the traction control and, you know, feel the back end stepping out a little bit. And for where we are today on the channel, that's not something I'm ready to do in a car supplied by Audi UK to our friend James of JM on Cars, who has just let us ride in it with Audi's permission while he's busy driving our Audi R8 GT. So I'm not going to bin this car today. And on that note, I say let's go and pick up the GT and see what it's like.
Yeah, let's do it.
On these nice windy roads. Back in the GT just to see what it feels like with the Quattro system, but unfortunately we're not going to experience that driving like this, so we're going to have to get a move on.
Yeah.
This is way more engaging. I mean, the sensation of the wind going past you makes a part of it, but oh my god, it's just not a fair fight, is it?
No,
it's not a fair fight.
it feels like when we were in the rear wheel drive, even from here, you can just feel the back like wanting to step out, whereas in this you just go around the corner at the same speed and it's just planted, just like pulls you through like it's on rails. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now a little bit of that is the suspension, a little bit of it, because this is much stiffer suspension, much more planted. And a part of it is obviously the fact that the front wheels are pulling you a little bit. And interestingly though, you do feel the back getting pushed around in the car. You really do feel that sensation.
Well, because it's obviously mostly rear wheel drive, isn't it? You can definitely feel it. Even from the passenger seat, he said you can feel the way it's like pulling it and pushing it. Yes.
But to be honest with you, despite the fact that this is Quattro, it still gives you that same buzz of a rear wheel drive.
Oh yeah.
Obviously we didn't push Audi's press car too hard, for obvious reasons, but I think this car makes you feel like a driving god,
whether you are or you aren't. And I think to get that same sensation in the rear-wheel drive, you will have to actually be a driving god.
Yeah.
Which might make some people buy it because they think they are. And if you do, go for it. But overall, I'd say they're equally engaging as a drive. Again, because of your point there about the fact that on average it's only 15% to the front and at most 30%, I think that makes a big difference to maintaining that sense of drama in the car, and in some ways kind of gives it even more drama, especially when you find yourself at a corner like this and then it's pulling you through. Yeah, still just as engaging. Which do I prefer? Would I have this in rear-wheel drive? Honestly, no. I like it as it is. I really do like this car as it is. But would I recommend a rear-wheel drive? I think the rear-wheel drive is definitely a good place to start as your first supercar. If you've got the budget for a brand new car. It's not too intimidating. It's not scary at all. But I can imagine it getting a bit hairy when you switch that ESP off. So don't do that until you're absolutely certain that you have the skills to manage that and it's in the appropriate conditions. But I think that's the point in time that we should thank James of JM on Cars for giving us an amazing opportunity to, you know, drive these cars. Obviously, it's helped him out on his channel, but more importantly, it's helped us out by giving us access to those cars and being able to compare them to this car. And I think most of all, what I'm taking away is we got the right car.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, 100%.
It's more dynamic. The suspension is so stiff. The seats just hold you in. The steering is a more heavily weighted steering. The R-Tronic, whilst an inferior gearbox to the S-Tronic, gives you more of a visceral experience. I think is that the word you used? Yeah,
for sure, definitely this car in every single way. Personally, I think in looks, in the way it feels, I think the engine note sounds a lot better in this generation than the newer ones, and definitely than the V8. And also, there's only 32 other of these in the UK. So, on that bombshell,
make sure you hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, choose notifications on all videos.
Subscribe to JM on Cars. Thank you so much for letting us do this and helping us out. And also make sure you guys follow us on Instagram because we're really close to 1,000 followers on there. So it'd be awesome if we hit that soon. And we'll see you guys next time on Sports and Touring. Chassis, it had
and behind us we've got the top of the standard price, but came yes, I like this. This is good. This is good. It makes me look really small, but it's good.